Welcome to the channel and welcome to the show. Let me get comfortable here. For those who don't know, my name is Reny and I am not only a pagan, I am also an animist. Animism is the belief that everything has a soul, everything has a certain energy. So it's not just humans who have a soul, it's not just animals who have a soul, but this tree has an energy, it has a spirit, it has a soul. The fire has a soul, the earth, the wind, the directions, everything has a spirit. And I've talked about this on the channel before, and when I talk about it, I'm like 70% serious, but 30% kind of making a joke that, yeah, I talk to the trees, ha ha ha. And sometimes you send me messages on Instagram, on the Dutch Pagans Insta, and you go like, yeah, you talk to trees, but like, do they actually talk back? And then I have to be honest and reply and say, well, yeah, they kind of do. And then the obvious question is, what do they tell you? Well, welcome to this week's video, where I'm going to talk about what the trees are speaking about. I would love to make a series about this, because the tree that I've talked to is the hazel tree. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what the hazel tree told me, but I'm going to make it a bit more rational. Because if you know me, I just don't go out there into the spirit world very deep and then just tell you something. No, I'm going to go out there really deep. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to make it rational to understand. Meaning that everything that the hazel tree is can also be seen in its functions and who it is. It's the same with trees as it is with humans, by the way, because we're very similar to trees, but that's the subject for another video. In the sense that if you understand how you look is a reflection of how you are on the inside. So if you correctly can interpret that, you can see somebody just by how they look. Like if you have me, for instance, like I work out, this is not a fitness channel, it's not to brag, but when I work out good, my diet's great, I do push-ups every day, but my muscles, when I tense them up and when you feel them, they always feel kind of squishy. Why? Because I'm kind of squishy. Because even though I'm work out and I try to be like fit and strong, at heart I'm very sensitive, I'm very soft. Now other men, they have these muscles and they're like this, and you feel them, it's like steel cables, like woo. Not me, I'm like squishy because I'm sensitive. This is an example, meaning that as without, so within. The same it goes for trees. If you understand the function, and if you understand what the tree is and what it does, you will understand the function and the personality of the tree. Now this also kind of goes back way back. When I first started doing sweat lodges, there was a medicine man called Archie Fire Leemdeer, and he was kind of annoyed that in Western society everybody wants to become a medicine man. So he was like, you know, if you're a medicine man, what you should do is you should pick that plant up and you should talk to that plant. And if you can't do that, just become a lawyer or something, don't bother me again. So even though he said that, I believe in the 80s, and he has long since passed and his son carries on his work, I still kind of felt like, okay, Takauste, you want me to talk about the plants? I'll talk with the plants. So this is also what this video is about. So, the hazel tree. The hazel tree is a boundary. It is a center. And it can help you by putting up boundaries. Now why can it do that? Because the hazel tree often grows next to water on the land. Meaning it is at the cusp, exactly at the border of two worlds. I talked about this in the intro of the last video. That's when the magic happens. When you're in the center between two worlds. That's where the hazel tree is. By the way, the reason I picked the reason why I picked this staff is this was my second staff that I ever made. And it is made, yes, of the hazel tree. You can recognize the hazel trees by the leaves. You can recognize them by the nuts. But you can also recognize them. There's these markings on the hazel tree itself. Now, as I was saying, this lovely thing grows between the world of water and the world of earth. And it grows extremely fast. They grow next to my house, and they grow like 5 meters in a year. And then you can cut them down, and they're like even thicker than this. You can use them for all sorts of stuff. Cut them down, next year there's another 5 meters. It's really, really fast. By the way, if you want to attempt this, to talk to a hazel tree, it helps if you don't talk to the leaves and you don't talk to the nuts. Yeah, talk to the nuts, haha. But it helps if you talk to the center of the tree, because that's where the essence is. This tree is the boundary between worlds. That's why it's also very handy for a staff if you want to use it for cider magic. Because cider magic and astral traveling means that you are crossing boundaries between worlds. This, the hazel tree, is very used to boundaries and keeping the boundaries. Because if you're at the boundary of two worlds, that meaning that there are two things around you and they both want to pull you in. Come here, come here. But if you want to keep that connection of being between two worlds, you have to be strong. Not strong as like the thunder god Thor constantly fighting, but you have to have inner stability strong. That's what this is about, inner stability. Now the nuts from the hazel tree you can of course eat, and as recording this video it is late August, so I think in the beginning of September that's usually a good season for the hazelnut trees, and you can just go up to them if you see them and you can just shake them a bit and see what falls off, because when I try to eat them I usually get a lot that aren't ripe yet, but if you just shake them and everything that falls off, that's guaranteed ripe. And did you know that actually the expression "in a nutshell" came from the hazel tree? Because these nuts are so freaking full of nutrients, basically everything you need in a nutshell. And if you see what the hazel tree is used for, going back to the theme of understanding what's out there to understand what's in there. In England, in Great Britain, they are often used in hedges. You know, they make hedges out of wood. They use the hazel tree a lot for that. Why? Because the hazel tree is good for putting up boundaries. Want another example? The nuts. Some extracts from the nuts are actually used in a lot of perfume. No, not perfume, but a lot of makeup. Which is funny, because you have lots of women putting an extract of the hazel tree on their skin. Now you might think this is not significant, but what is makeup and what is skin? Skin is the boundary between one world and the other. It is the boundary between you and the outside world. So once again, you have this hazel tree fulfilling its sacred duty of being the guardian of the place between two worlds. So if you feel like, hey, at this moment in my life, there are different people trying to go over my boundaries. There are different difficult choices to be made. I suggest you connect with the hazel tree. Now you could go all spiritual about it, or you can be real practical about it. In about 2 weeks' time, it will be hazelnut season. I hope, my friends, you will eat lots of them and you will find that inner stability to stay true to yourself. Long live the hazel tree. Thank you for all your gifts. Thank you for being with me today. As for you, I'll probably see you next week in a new video. Thanks for watching. Ga met de goden.